like home studios now, Andy. It's you know, all the time in front of cameras and stuff like that. It's pretty. There we go. Right. So so I see Progreta here on your hat. Tell me a little bit about. I got guys. We're live, by the way, and I got Andy with me today. I met Andy at the high level event. Andy is one of the leading affiliates with Go High Level, and a very helpful person. It was great talking to him, and I just couldn't get enough of him, so I had to have him on the podcast and talk to you know, so we can kind of figure out like what Andy's done and what can we learn from him on building out our businesses, taking them from 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond. So, Andy, do you want to give us a brief intro about who you are and what you do, my man?
Yeah, my name is Andy Audate, and I'm the founder of Progreta, which is a white label agency from Go High Level. And we also help agency owners who want to go on from agency model to SaaS model, and they just want to create recurring revenue without all the headaches of running an agency and marketing agency. So I created GoSaaSLaunch.com to help people who want to create a multi-six-figure recurring revenue business through selling their SaaS on webinars.
Okay, that's awesome. And so tell me a little bit about what led you to this lifestyle. I think you're a serial entrepreneur. You've been doing this for some time. Usually, most people would, you know, go and get a job and maybe, you know, build out a business later down the line. But you know, you seem like a young man. What's your journey like coming into GoSaaSLaunch.com and then your own consulting and coaching business?
So at 19 years old, I started my first business. I was the youngest T-Mobile franchise owner. So T-Mobile is a big company, but I was the youngest one. I had 4 locations with them. By my 21st birthday, I made my first $1 million with T-Mobile. We were selling thousands upon thousands of phones with them, and a bunch of subscriptions and a bunch of activations. Now, the interesting thing about that business model is I knew that every time I grabbed a customer, I got T-Mobile a customer, they were getting residual. They were getting monthly recurring revenue on $40, $50, $60, whatever that price was. And then I was getting only the commission on the front end. Now, granted, I made a lot of money and we always had customers coming in, but we only made the commission on the front end. So I knew in the back of my head, like, hey, I want to build a business that has recurring revenue. And over the years, I've been on this journey of trying to figure out what that looks like. So I started a marketing agency. And in my marketing agency, we were building marketing funnels and marketing campaigns, but I still wanted that residual. So what I did was I started running Facebook ads and different services that would be on the recurring payments. But even that had some challenges in there. And what I found is like when you go full SaaS, that the time freedom, the ability to retire your friends, your family, and so on and so forth, and be able to travel and still generate revenue, it was present. And that's when for me it just clicked. Like this is the way to go. And that's what I use Progreta for.
Okay, that's awesome, man. That's um, getting to that freedom, that lifestyle that all of us are looking for. And I get it totally on the marketing agency side. You can build this out into, you know, into a business which is recurring revenue and things like that. But unless and until you have the SaaS model applied to that agency, it's always going to be tricky. It's always going to be a struggle retaining those clients and things like that. It's, you know, I think the marketing agency owners who are listening to me, they can relate with that struggle, right? Like struggle of churn and things like that. So is that kind of is that part of the reason where, you know, the service that you're into now is really sticky, and then you can build upon that on top of that? How would that work? Like if I was a marketing agency owner and I'm struggling at $300,000 to $500,000 a year, what kind of advice would you give me?
I think you got to ask yourself, what game do you want to play? What is your objective? What does your big picture look like? If you can understand what your big picture looks like, now you can build from there. So if you're running a marketing agency today and you're saying to yourself like, hey man, I like funnels, I like these marketing campaigns, I like the tests and the challenges that comes with running an agency to be essentially on the cutting edge and give my customers that information. I like that. then play that game and play that game very well, because you can build a successful marketing agency and generate a lot of money. I built a 7-figure marketing agency, and I see the 7 figures behind you. So I built a 7-figure marketing agency, but for me, that wasn't in alignment with the lifestyle I wanted to live. When I did my marketing agency, for perspective, my wife was one of the project managers. We had a handful of project managers, but my wife was one of the project managers. And when running a marketing agency at the 7-figure level, and people are paying you $40, $50, $60, $20,000 for a service, for some type of build out, that requires a level of attention that, it's kind of different than SaaS. So a quick scenario: I was at the high level mastermind. That's where I met your brother, and I was hanging out with him. And I was at the high level mastermind. And when I was there, my wife calls me one day, and she's like, "Babe, so and so is calling me. Like, so and so is calling me and keeps calling me." And I said, "What's happening?" He's like, "They want to talk to me," because she was the project manager. Now, however, in running my business, we have staff at our office. You can call us. You can call us at any time. Through business hours, you can send us unlimited email, because you have unlimited email support and so on and so forth. But they wanted to specifically talk to my wife, and my wife was at an appointment, at a physical, and so she was not working. But this client wanted to speak to her. Now I was at the mastermind talking to Sean Clark, and Sean Clark was like, "Hey man, a $40,000 client is not a $297 client is better than a $40,000 client." And I said, "Sean, man, I don't think you understand the math. Let me show you the math." So I'm like, all right, let's do the math. $40,000 divided by 297 is gonna take me 134 months to recoup that $40,000, man. That math ain't mathing.
Yeah.
But it dawned on me two things. Number one, a 297 client would not call my personal cell phone. No. So number two is, because this product has a limited scale, I could have 134 clients paying 297, and that's where my $40,000 will come in that example. So it was in that moment where I realized I don't want to run an agency where anyone can have my time or my wife's time and so on and so forth. I want to have a business that is able to provide tremendous value while servicing our clients, also while allowing me to have time freedom.
That's amazing, man. What a great story. Usually people would go after, like we hear, the big ticket item and all of that stuff. But here you are being successful doing, creating a blue ocean strategy for yourself, I guess. And, I love it. So let's go into the business a little bit on what kind of clients are you working with and helping them out. And I would assume you coming with the sales and marketing agency background, a lot of your clients are agency owners and things like that. So just kind of walk me through that on what kind of businesses are you guys working with, and how do you guys help them out with Progreta?
So at Progreta, we help different organizations. We don't have a specific niche per se. So we help service-based businesses who want sales appointments, and they're going to get sales appointments through chat automation. So chat automation is when a lead messages the business's phone number with a keyword, and that keyword starts a trigger, which ultimately starts the relationship. So when a business owner, like a tax consultant, a lawyer, or something of that nature, when they are doing their marketing, their objective is to get as many people to text in to their Progreta app, which will ultimately have a back and forth conversation to book a sales appointment for them.
That's very interesting. And that's the premise of the main service that you guys have. This is what you guys come in, or is there tiers to the service that you guys have? Because I would assume, having this system at the $300 mark versus upsell opportunities or anything like that. What's going on there, or is it just like $300? You guys plug and play, and you guys are good to launch.
So it's you get the software to generate leads, and now you have leads. There's going to be some fulfillment on the back end that you want to accomplish. That's where you use other portions of the app. So if you're generating leads and you want to sell your course, you can do that, but it all starts with generating leads through chat automation. So majority of our customers are using chat automation somehow or some way, because they understand the value of their customer having a text message. So when you see many of our successful customers are online running ads, their back end is Progreta, and what they're doing is they're running an advertisement to DM me the word free or direct message me the word book to get my ebook, things of that nature, which starts the funnel, which gets the lead's name, email, and phone number from an ad, from an ebook, and so on and so forth. So it all starts with a word. So for example, if I am on a podcast and I tell someone to text me the word demo to my phone number, let me just grab that. I'll say, text me the word demo to 702-830-7408, and I'll give you a demonstration of Progreta. When someone does that, they're automatically inside of my funnel. We capture their name, email, and phone number, and we put them through a sequence. And that's what we're teaching our customers to do.
That's awesome, man. So I would imagine that, excuse me, these customers are also, some of them are probably marketing agencies taking care of other accounts, running already ads, and then linking up your system with their systems and
No.
the ads that they're running, or is it just direct to the business?
So two verticals that we're working, two directions that we're working: Progreta and GoSaaSLaunch, two different organizations. Progreta itself is going to be for the end user that uses our app, and they're the tax consultant, they're the lawyer, they're the coach, they're the entrepreneur who wants more leads. So they only use Progreta to implement this strategy of generating leads on demand from social media. So that's on the
Gotcha.
Progreta. That's on the Progreta side.
Gotcha.
On GoSaaSLaunch side, we're helping high-level agencies sell their SaaS, sell their white label SaaS. Now, the way that Andy gets hundreds of Progreta customers is through webinars, where I host online events and I bring people, large groups of people to an event on Zoom, and I tell them, hey, this is what you can do. This is how you can generate leads, and this is the process, and this is the product. Do you want to buy the product today? And over the last few years, I've been acquiring customers through that one strategy. So in the high level space, over the last, really in the last few months, there's been a large group of people who have been saying, hey, Andy, I would like to do what you're doing in selling SaaS on webinars. Can you show me that process? So I created GoSaaSLaunch to support SaaSpreneurs to sell their white label SaaS through webinars. So it's so the agencies aren't using Progreta. The agencies are coming to go through an online course where I teach them over the course of 7 months how to sell their SaaS on webinars.
Gotcha. I think that's where this would really click with so many agency owners, because the building out the SaaS and all of that stuff. It's like it seems easy, but I know the software because you need to really deep dive into that software, and if someone like you can come in and help launch this thing, I think that's an incredible value that you're bringing. So let's switch gears a little bit. You kind of mentioned about sales and marketing, Andy. Quickly walk me through, how are you doing your own marketing? How are you pulling in leads? There's a saying, Andy, that never go into war with the unproven weapon, and that's kind of what I did today. I was trying out this new camera system and it just didn't work out. But like, we're in that age where every one of us, especially running remote businesses like yours and ours, we need like home studios now, with all the hardware and all of that stuff. But yeah, so just walk me through some of your marketings. Like, how do you pull in leads? Is it just webinars? Are you relying on something else? What are some of the small wins that small businesses and marketing agency owners can take home and draw in more leads?
So number one is going to networking events as much as you can. You want to go to some networking events to capture leads. Now, the way that I do it is through chat automation. So when I get on a stage or a platform, I let everyone know, like, hey, I have something for free to give everyone. And what I'm going to give you for free is valued at $997. But I'm going to give it to this audience at no cost. If you want X, whatever that X is, whatever I'm giving away for free. Typically, for me, it's a webinar. And I'll say, text me the word webinar to my cell phone, and I'll send you the information. And through that, we capture their name, email, and phone number, and we automatically register them through the workflow. So that's number one, is getting people going to networking events. Number two is where I connect with other people who have big email lists. So I may say, Azar, you have people, you have entrepreneurs, and you're helping them with their staffing. However, what could be missing is the strategy for them to fulfill in their SaaS. Let's say you're working with go high level people. that, hey, you're helping people with their staffing, but what's missing is the education and the strategy for them to go ahead and fulfill a marketing game plan to get SaaS customers. So I have an online course. I have a program. I'm going to give it to your audience completely for free, Azar, if you send it over to them. And on that online course, your virtual assistants and your marketing associates can actually follow our webinar system for your clients. So that's an example of what I would do with other people, where you try to find a medium win for you and win for them. And because it's valuable for Azar in this scenario, because it's valuable for me, Azar will share it to his audience. So the idea is that I'm going to go to someone with an email list and I'm going to give value to that email list. And as I give value to that email list, that the idea is that we're going to have a process to educate them and give them additional value, which ultimately becomes a sale. So number one is going to networking events. Number two is working with other people, other people's email lists, so that way we can give them value. Did you just see that?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know what's going on here, man. Crazy, crazy StreamYard hangout today. But okay, so that's very interesting. So, and we sort of do that already, right? Like, if our clients have access to some of the best coaches in the world in the game on the marketing agency side, and their entry level courses, where we've negotiated with people like Josh Nelson, Alex Shlinsky, a few other people, and we've created this training area where they can come in and get access to these entry level courses from where you would have to generally pay for this, but now through this joint venture they're getting access, and it works out really, really well. And there's vice versa, and a relationship that works out really well as well. So amazing. So now that you have these marketing things going on and you have leads coming in, what's your conversion strategy? What's the sales strategy like?
So for the most part, we put people into a group presentation to share with them a practice or an idea or a strategy that would be effective for them. So inside of Progreta, the way that we do it with Progreta is we bring them all into a webinar where we teach them how to build a multiple six-figure through social media marketing, which through surveys, we found out that's what people wanted to know. They want to know how to get the six-figure mark so that way they can leave their job, as well as if they're already an entrepreneur, how they can still hit six figures as an entrepreneur. So that was the common consensus. And then number two, they wanted to figure out the social media thing. I want to figure out Instagram, Facebook, so on and so forth. So the event's name is called Building a Multi Six-Figure Business Through Social Media. So what I do is I connect with other people who are in the space, and I give them all an opportunity to invite their people into the webinar for free. So I go to other people in it. Typically, I'll give them a kickback on the revenue that is generated from that lead. And if there's revenue, I'll give them a kickback. So I have all of these different traffic sources that are all driving people to my webinar, and then I present them a solution, which is, hey, Progreta is a tool that's going to help you generate leads through Facebook, Instagram, and text message when your lead texts you a keyword. The difference in that is if you go to a networking event, you have to talk to each person one-on-one, trying to scan a QR code or capture each person's phone number manually. In 3 minutes, you can get on a platform and have everyone share their name, email, phone number with you, and you can grow your database rather than doing it one-on-one. So by using our tool, you can streamline the process of capturing name, email, phone number of your potential customers, therefore increasing your revenue. And that's what I share with them on a webinar, and then a portion of them buys.
That's amazing, man. Pretty straightforward. So that's good strategy. You got these funnels that are putting people inside your webinars, and then you guys are going on the webinars, presenting, pitching, closing the deals, and so on, and then rinse and repeat. And I'm guessing that you guys are doing this very consistently.
So in GoSaaSLaunch.com, I help SaaSpreneurs host their webinar, and I'm going to share with you the strategy. Here's the process. You'll do one webinar. So if you're a SaaSpreneur and you're listening to this and you're like, hey, man, I'm trying to figure out how to sell more SaaS in the first place. Like, what's that process that Andy keeps talking about? Number one, what you're going to do is you're going to host one webinar per month, every single month for the next 12 months. One webinar per month, every single month for the next 12 months. It's going to be live. And your goal is to get as many people to that live webinar as possible. Now, when they get to that live webinar, a portion of them are going to come and a portion of them are not going to come. So what you're going to do is at the end of that, in that webinar, you're going to present your SaaS, present your offer, and then at the end, ask everyone to buy. Ask everyone to buy. People who don't buy your SaaS, you're going to do what we call a post-webinar interview. So let's say you get 50 people to register for your event, your webinar, 25 people show up to your webinar, and out of the 25 people, 5 people buy your SaaS. Congratulations, you got 5 new SaaS sales. However, you got 20 people who didn't buy. Let's find out why they didn't buy through the post-webinar process, which is an interview. And years ago, as I used to say, like, hey, let's do a follow-up sales call after the webinar. No one will show up. No one's going to show up. So what I did different is I said, hey, let's do a social media podcast interview. And let's get them on the Zoom call. So I'll ask them a few questions, which will be in alignment to what their experience was at the webinar. What did they learn? How could we, how everything was at the webinar, give us a testimonial. We'll record that. We'll cut that up and create social media content with that. Then, however, what happens afterwards is I'm already on a call with them. Why don't I just ask them, hey, I offered you to buy the product. Why didn't you buy the product? And then they'll tell me, I wasn't ready. I didn't have my credit card at that time. Or, you know what, I don't understand how it's going to work for specifically my industry. So we can address those concerns on that call, which ultimately at the end of that call turns that into a sale. So I do one live presentation. That presentation gets turned into a replay where for the people that didn't show up, they get to watch that replay, the recording. And then at the end, everyone that watched the presentation at some point, whether it's the live version or the replay, they'll all get invited to a webinar interview where I ask them questions, learn about their business, and ultimately ask them to buy again at the end.
Amazing. What a great strategy, man. So if somebody who comes in and a marketing agent, especially, or person who wants to build out their SaaS, they come to you on SaaS launch, and this is part of the strategy that gets handed over to them to launch their webinars and run all of these things before and after.
Yeah, it's completely free to understand the strategy and for you to implement the strategy. We actually have a Slack group. If you go to GoSaaSLaunch.com/Slack, but we have a Slack group, and I'm starting to see, Azar, and I think that there's going to be a group of people that's going to be needing your services very soon because they're following our strategy, and now they're getting the SaaS customers, and they're like, oh man, I need the staff to be able to fulfill the process of onboarding and so on and so forth. So, however, what it comes down to, Azar, is you want to get in front of as many people as possible on your webinar and share with them the value. Because what happens on the post-webinar interview, Azar, is that instead of let me backtrack. When you do a one-on-one sales call, on every call, if the person doesn't know who you are, you're going to start off with, my name is so-and-so. This is what my business is. This is how I help people. And you're really selling yourself as well as your product. When you do a webinar to a group, you already sold yourself. You already sold your product to a large group. So when you get on the post-webinar interview call, they already know who you are. They like you. They trust you. They already know what your product is. They know the offer. They know the price. So at that point, all you're really doing is asking a few questions and overcoming objections. So what would take my virtual sales assistant, which we can talk about that as well, but what would take my virtual sales assistant 45 minutes to an hour to do a presentation, now it's taking them 15 to 20 minutes to do a full-on sales presentation and closing business because they already know who we are. They like us. They trust us. They know our product. They know our offer because they watched the webinar.
So so now we're going to switch gears and kind of go into your manpower behind this operation. And so these post-webinar podcasts, your sales team is doing this. You don't have to do every single one of them.
Yeah, I don't. I started it, but today I don't do it today. So when I first started, I was the one that was doing it all. I was doing the webinar presentation. I was doing the post-webinar interview. I had to figure out a process that worked for me that would allow me to have enough time freedom for my family, for me to run my business, for me to travel, so on and so forth. So last week I was in Arizona. This week I'm in Las Vegas. I'm here in Las Vegas doing this podcast. Next week I'm in the Philippines. So I'm traveling all over the country. A couple of weeks before that I was in Dallas. I'm going back to Dallas again. So I'm all over the country. And in order to make the business work the way I wanted to, I needed a strategy that will allow me to make the most amount of revenue, which at the time is make the most amount of revenue plus save my time.
That's awesome, man. What a great story. So walk me through, before we end this, Andy, walk me through the hierarchy of your team. How many people do you have? And what are some of the roles that you employ in?
We have 11 internal team members, and that 11 includes customer service, which doubles as billing, as well as we have developers on our team. We have 3 developers on our team. I have an executive assistant, media relationships manager. Who else am I missing? Video editors, graphic designers,
Sales.
sales assistants, um, and graphic designers and accounting.
So here's a six-figure, if not seven-figure question for you. Is how's the spread of your team? How many of them are in the States? How many are global?
Everyone is global. I have 2 people here in the States, and then so me plus 2, so that's 3 people in the States, and then everyone else is global, international.
That's awesome, man. I think that's it turns into a huge expense, the human resource expense, and if you can just lay it out there right from the get-go, you're not going to run into situations where I come across so many agency owners who are just bogged down with like 10% team running in states is straight up $750,000 a year right there. You can be smart about it, do like you're doing like 3 people here and 7 people outside. You can do 50-50. You can, but there's a lot of cash that can be, brought back into the business, saving this money, putting it on marketing, growing the business and things like that. So
It's not even. I'll share with you, Azar. It's not even the cost savings perspective. It comes down to the level of brilliance that I have on my team, and we're able to find that internationally versus domestic, right? So I'm sure that there is 100%. Like there's brilliant people in the United States. There's brilliant people all over the world. I know in my search, it just so happened that some of the staff team members were in Africa, Philippines, Mexico, and so on and so forth, and Portugal. And we started seeing like, hey, it's not about your proximity to Andy. It's not about how close you are to Andy. Most people will look at their business and say, okay, I got to find people that are within 3 miles of me. And so now they're searching this journey 3 miles of me. For me, I said, I want to find the smartest people wherever they're at in the world. So we've had people who used to work at these big organizations, and they're bringing their knowledge and their information to me. So I can go higher. Like for example, my accountant in my company, they manage our books, and it's important for me to invest money into knowing where my business is at financially, the financial health of my business is at every few days. When I did, and I'm gonna give that information for the people who are over 6 figures. You want to know where your numbers are at every week. I'm able to see an up or down trend, right? I'm able to see an up. Even if I lost 75 cents, I'm like, what the hell happened? What the hell happened there? Because that means you're never gonna lose 7,500 or 75,000.
Yeah.
If you're able to know. When I didn't know, I would have, because I had cash in the bank, I would say, oh, I'm good, I'm healthy. And then tax time comes around and so on and so forth. And then payroll comes around. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that I was in the red, or I didn't know that where I was, or the health of my business was at. So 4 years ago, I got committed and I hired an accountant who works in my company. Now, this person was running a multi-million-dollar organization in the Philippines, huge organization that he was responsible for accounting. He comes into my company. We hired him during the pandemic. We give him a job to work here. He takes care of our entire business. And I'm like, you're very brilliant. Some of the things that he asked me and the way that he poses things supports me in growing my business. I could go and hire a bookkeeper down the street, right? Who happens to be in Las Vegas. I could do that. And there's no hate or bad blood. I just found that this person happened to just be smart. They just so happened to be in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I'm going to give you a conversation that I had with Sean Clark as well a year and a half ago. And I'm like, Sean, like, how are you building out this business with such a huge global team? Like, I talked to Varun last week, and he told me that they've crossed 850 people. And, 650 of them were hired just in the last year and a half. And a big chunk of that team is global. And Sean's like, I feel like I know this secret that you can hire brilliant people across the globe, and you can make impacts on their lives. You can have an impact on the business. You can grow much faster, and you don't only have to rely in Toronto, Canada, where I am right now, or in Vegas, or we're just limiting ourselves. Those are limiting beliefs. Amazing, intelligent talent is available to all of us now globally. And you're holding yourself back if you're thinking that you're just going to do this one thing and one thing only, because other people have moved on like long time ago, especially people who are like way more successful than us.
And I'll give you a secret too that I think could support SaaSpreneurs or other businesses when it comes down to RepStack. outsource. Most recently we created a Slack workspace that is specifically for all the vendors that we work with, from social media managers that help my social media content, from third-party marketing services, fulfillment, and so on and so forth. So we just continually outsource. So I take care of my core team. I'm closer with my core team, and then we outsource everything. So when you're at a stage of really wanting to grow and expand, allow other people to do their brilliance wherever they're at in the world. So you just said Toronto, Canada. I mean, you're tremendously smart. Look what you built with RepStack, right? I've seen the reputation of RepStack over the years just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. There's so much information that you have. If I limited myself to say, hey, because Azar is not in Las Vegas, I'm not going to talk to him or do business with him, I'll be missing out on so many opportunities and blessings. So don't be limited to where your location's at. Grow and find the right people no matter where they're at, because it's not about how they speak, it's not about where they live, but it's about how they think and what they can support you in your business. And that's going to be the game changer. I think when an entrepreneur understands that, that's when everything's getting their business is going to grow and change.
Love it, Andy. Thank you so much for being on the show today, man. I really appreciate it. Break down the barriers, stop limiting ourselves. There's so much we can be doing. Check Andy out. If you're a marketing agency, go SaaSLaunch.com. I feel that, you don't have to start from zero. And, I know we can all do it ourselves, but that's another hang up that a lot of us have. It's just faster to work with a professional like Andy and his team and get this off the ground. And then if you're a small business owner, Progreta is very interesting. Reach out to these guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Andy, do you mind sticking around for just
Let's do it, man.
minutes? Fatma, we can go offline.